Hey everyone, it's Emily here. Welcome back to another video. For the upcoming weeks, we are going to be talking about trials. Today, to start things off, our topic is going to be, what are trials? But before we get into this, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and also click on the bell so that you never miss an upload. All right, let's get into this. So growing up and going to church, when I heard about trials, my definition in my head of what I thought trials were that they were problems or difficult circumstances in your life that make life negative. But for the purposes of today's video, I looked up the definition from Oxford's English Dictionary, and when I looked up the word trials, it said, a person, thing, or situation that tests a person's endurance or forbearance. So it's not just a situation, it could be a person or a thing. What's interesting about this definition is that it includes the word test. When we have challenges, when we have difficulties, when we have problems that we have to tackle, it is testing us and also developing our character. So when that test comes, how are we going to choose to handle it? And some of the things that you may feel during a trial would be frustration, because something may come up in your life that you weren't expecting and it interferes with your plans and your goals, so it kind of throws you off. Another thing would be fear. If we're not prepared for something and it just comes at us, we might be worried, like, how am I ever going to overcome this? Another feeling would be anger. I think this one's pretty obvious because nobody wants to have problems in their life. If life was good and then all of a sudden something comes up, we might be like, what's this for? Another feeling would be sadness. You may experience sadness because you lose something that you may have loved, lose someone that you may have loved, go into a depressive state because of the situation, and overall, just a dark feeling, like there's a dark cloud over your head and it just doesn't seem like things are going to change. I know that I personally have experienced plenty of trials. I know one time I experienced a trial which was a person that tested my patience and really caused me to depend on the Lord and really developed my character, how I handle situations. And let me tell you guys, if you've read the Bible, you know that there are trials all throughout. All the different characters in the Bible went through something and they had to overcome it. So today we're going to be going over a few examples of trials in the Bible, starting out with Joseph. Let's go to Genesis 37:28. It says, "Then Midianite traders passed by, so the brothers pulled Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. And they took Joseph to Egypt." So Joseph is experiencing probably the craziest situation one could experience, having your own siblings throw you in a pit and then after that take you out of the pit to sell you as a slave. I mean, this is just a crazy trial that Joseph had to go through. And then to add to this, in Genesis 39, verse 7 through 20, we see the story about how Potiphar's wife tried to coerce Joseph to sleep with her, but when he refused, she lied on him. And then in Genesis 39, verse 20, it says, "Then Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in prison." So he goes from being taken from his brothers, thrown into a pit, put into slavery, and then to prison. I mean, could it really get any worse? This was a trial in the Bible that Joseph had to face. Okay, let's go to another example. In the New Testament, there was a woman who dealt with a trial in her life, and we can find it in Mark 5, verse 25. "Now a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years and had suffered many things from many physicians. She had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse." This woman had a trial of her health. She was suffering 12 years, tried doctors, the doctors couldn't do anything. She spent all this money to no avail. Another trial here is health. Some of us may experience health challenges that just don't feel like there's a cure for or there's a solution for, and that could be something that really causes a lot of stress. Okay, and the last example that I want to go over today is the story of Job, probably the most famous story in the Bible when it comes to trials. And you can find the story in Job 1 and 2. Basically, a servant comes to tell him that all his livestock have been raided, the sheep and his servants have been killed, and that all his children are dead. And then in Job 2, Satan strikes Job with boils all over his body, so his health gets attacked. This shows the example that trials can include loss. He lost all his wealth, all his livelihood, he lost his family, his children, and he lost his health as well. All at once, guys, all at once. This is an absolutely insane story. And there's so many more examples in the Bible of people who've experienced trials and then had to overcome it and deal with it. But we will end that section for now, so stay tuned for next week's topic on trials. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe and comment below, and I will see you all next week. Bye!